Hello, my name is Shy. I've been diagnosed with major depressive disorder, bipolar disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay, let's do a quick check-in. Three words that describe my mood and the intensity. Right now I'm feeling very tired with like a 100%. I just shoveled. Oh, I hate the snow. I am also feeling, I don't know, I want to say tired in a different way. Like, I was feeling physically tired in my first one. I'm also feeling just kind of emotionally tired at like a 70%. Like, I'm not doing great, guys. Definitely having an episode of sorts. I'm going to try and figure out what kind of episode so I can figure out how to do something about it. And lastly, I'm feeling unmotivated. So tired in a spiritual kind of way. I'm just tired. I'm not doing great. But it is January 31st, and I promised myself I was going to do at least one podcast a month. So here we are. Bear with me, folks. My overall mood right now, it's like a 3. It's not great. Sorry, out of 10. We're talking like a 3. And then coping skills from yesterday and today. It's morning, so I really haven't done that much today yet. Yesterday, I visited my parents. That was nice. I got chicken and rice. I also had a Krispy Kreme donut. Sweets is the thing. I did some crafting, so I posted on my crafting page on Instagram. Follow me at Shy Makes on Instagram. And then I also, what else did I do yesterday? I think that was about it. Oh, I started a new TV series on Hulu. It's called Harlots. I'm kind of into it. Kind of. It still got really boring for me. Media in general has been really boring for me. I'm sorry, this is a very long check-in. Move on. Also today I shoveled. We had a snowstorm, which gave us several inches of snow. Just general poll for the peoples out there. If you share a sidewalk with someone, do you shovel just half of that sidewalk? Because I think that's just bizarre and insane and unneighborly. And that's incredibly unneighborly for being in the Midwest like we are here. We're supposed to be like super polite. The only people who are supposed to be more polite than us are people in the South. Anyway, moving on. So first I want to do a New Year's resolution check-in. I had 3 SMART goals that I gave you at the end of last season. So this will be the first episode of season 3. Welcome to season 3, by the way. The first is related to my mental health, posting at least 1 new podcast a month. That's what I'm doing now. So on track on that one. The second one related to my physical health. I want to be able to do 5 chin-ups on my pull-up bar. I'm currently at 2 solid. I was able to do 3 last month. At one point, that was really great, but I can do 2 consistently solid without any warm-ups or anything. I can just walk up to it and do 2 chin-ups and be on my merry way. So I'm now at 2. And for my financial health, I'm supposed to be saving $3,000 in my saving account by the end of the year. Currently, I'm just trying my best. But I have made some progress. I have been able to balance my books to figure out where my income and my expenses are. I've also been able to establish my assets and liabilities. And I don't know, I think I got about $100. So in order to be on track by December, I need to really up my game. But, you know, just as a good starting point, I'm not doing too bad. And some steps are better than no steps. So actually, that's a really good segue into what this podcast today is about. Keeping promises to myself. So my New Year's resolutions are an example of promises that I keep to myself. I want to give some backstory to this topic specifically because it was requested by my childhood friend turned sister. I also refer to her as my brother's first wife. Me and my other sister married, the two of them, when they were 5. They divorced about 2 days later. But, they will always be each other's first spouses. So this is actually technically 2 requests. One is dating in the times of COVID, and the other one is about my personal mantra. Backstory to that, she called me one day. She was having an argument with her boyfriend. He's applying for grad school and sent her a personal statement, asked her to look it over and give feedback. When she messaged me, it was very much in a tone of, I want to win this argument because I need people on my side, as opposed to, I want to work through this problem with him. She wanted to win it. So she sent me some snippets of the paper, and I noticed 2 things. One, the paper was poorly written. So yes, she would have won that if that was the argument she wanted to make. But the second thing is this idea of I need to win this thing against someone who's asked me for help. I didn't like that mindset. So we talked through both of those things, and I gave her both of my feedback, and I said, take this back to your boyfriend however you see fit. I don't want to mitigate your conversations with him because at the end of the day, you guys have to learn how to speak with each other. But I did want to offer both of those things that I noticed in the way that she brought her problem to me. One of the things that I asked her to do with him was to take back this language of, who do you need right now? Do you need a fellow grad student? Do you need a peer? Do you need a writer? Do you need somebody who's going to critique you? Somebody who's going to say, here's where we can make some changes? Or do you need your girlfriend? Do you need your partner? Do you need your helpmeet? Do you need someone who's affectionate to you? Do you need someone to say, I see that you've put in a lot of hard work. I see that you're trying. I'm here to support you. You're working hard. You're doing a good job. Like, do you need encouragement? Because those are 2 different people. Sometimes they can be the same, but oftentimes they are 2 different people. It is a rare and true, beautiful talent. Someone who can be both critical and encouraging at the exact same time. Now, a lot of people can be critical and then be encouraging. They call those compliment sandwiches, but they're not doing them at the same time. They're saying, this is what needs to change. Here's where you're doing a good job. They're 2 different actions. And also drawing boundaries within herself. So I was telling her, she's like, if he's bringing to you this paper at the last minute and he needs somebody both critical and encouraging, and you're having these whole arguments about it, like, this is not argument worthy. This is something that can be further mitigated with better boundaries. So really trying to identify these boundaries within yourself. I'm gonna split this premise into two different podcasts. Today I'm going to talk more about the boundaries and my personal mantra. How do I know how to create boundaries with other people? How do I set up these boundaries within myself? And then next I'm going to talk about dating in COVID, because apparently that's interesting. I don't know. I don't think my dating life is particularly interesting. But we'll do it anyway. So with time being ever a factor, I'm trying to keep these podcasts short. I'm just rambling at this point. Okay, Shy, make a point. Okay. My personal mantra. So the idea is that I ask myself, if this never changes, like if this never changed, would I be okay with that? This is how it applies to the situation that I asked her. If he always came to me with these kind of papers, if he always expected me to do this last minute, if he always argued with me every time I told him that something was wrong, would I be okay with this? Usually the answer is no. There's rarely a time that I can say, if this thing never changed, I'd be okay with it. And usually that's the only motivation I need to change things. So, for example, bathing is hard for me to keep up with when I'm feeling particularly depressed. I don't shower as consistently. And every so often I'll catch a whiff of myself and I'll say, if you never bathed again, would you be okay with that? If you smelled like this for the rest of your life, would you be okay with that? And usually the answer is no, and that's enough to tell me to get my butt in the shower. Y'all go hop in the tub, soak, do something, throw some water on those pits. And honestly, that carries through with a lot of things. So with work, if I'm receiving a lot of emails, if I'm not responding to messages and things are just backing up and things are piling up, if I were to never respond to an email again, if I was never going to make progress again, if I was okay with just like having all these things to do on my to-do list, like, am I okay having a bunch in my to-do list? No, absolutely not. That gives me anxiety, stresses me out. I don't want things in my to-do list. So I do the things. I do laundry because I don't want to never have clean clothes. I clean the dishes because I want to be a person who has clean dishes. I want to be able to just go in my cabinet and grab something rather than always saying, there are no new clean spoons. Also, I tend to use spoons more than anything else. Apparently everything I love is spoonable. Yogurt, ice cream, oatmeal. Yes, I enjoy oatmeal. If that makes me a terrorist, so be it. So, wow. Okay, focus. I'm having a hard time focusing. So the idea is, if things were never going to change, would I be okay with it? So I asked her, take this idea back to your relationship. If the things about your relationship were to never change, would that be okay? Which is why it also segues very neatly into how I think about dating, because I think to myself, am I okay with somebody who routinely forgets things about me? Am I okay with someone who I have to remind about myself often? Am I okay with someone who talks down to me often? Am I okay with someone who makes me feel uncomfortable or uneasy? Also, that idea has made my cutoff game super strong. I think to myself, like, if this person were to never change, like, is that cool? It also helps me see people for who they are, where they are at this moment, rather than falling for their potential. And that's the same thing in relationships, in friendships, in jobs, in families. I think to myself, if this were to never change, would I be okay with it? And if the answer is no, I do something about it for myself, or I say something about it in that moment with the people who I'm talking to. So, for example, I have now gone by Shy exclusively for 6 years. It's been 6 years. I know a lot of... Sometimes it's hard for people to understand that. I, myself, have not used any other name besides Shy for 6 years. So people who call me any other name, I'm thinking to myself, in the past 6 years, if you've made no changes, do I trust this? Like, am I okay with this forever? And usually the answer is no. Good example of this, one of my cousins text me, Happy New Year's using a name that was not Shy. And I just did not respond to it because I've decided I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay. I'm not going to, if I continue to answer to a name that's not my name, people will continue to call me that name. And this also kind of falls into the idea that people only treat you how you allow them to. I think there is some truth to that, but I also think there's a lot of victim blaming in that kind of a stance. So I'm not taking that stance. What I am taking the stance on is I'm not allowing that stuff to happen in my life. And that's a boundary that I draw. Sometimes it's a very hard and unfair boundary, and sometimes it's the exact boundary that I need. But like I said earlier, it's a step, and some steps are better than no steps. And I'm going to try and figure out better ways of doing those kinds of steps. But it is a step. All right. So, if you liked that, make sure you give me a thumbs up on YouTube. Rate me 5 stars on Apple Podcast. give me a share. Tell somebody about me. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my podcast. If you find my website, justshy.com/unsick, you can find all places that I am currently streaming, and anywhere else that podcasts are going for. I apologize for the discombobulation of this podcast. This is such a bad episode. Thanks so much. Peace out.